In this video, we are going to prove the same-side interior angles theorem. Now, we have a conjecture about same-side interior angles that says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then same-side interior angles are supplementary. And as soon as we prove that conjecture, it's going to become a theorem. So let's take a look at what that proof is going to look like. First, remember we want to set up our proof using the given prove format. Our given information says line K is parallel to line L with transversal T. So here's line K and here's line L. They are parallel according to my information. Let me go ahead and mark those parallel using my parallel line symbols here. So here's lines K and L, K parallel to L with transversal T right here, and I've got my angles numbered. And I'm trying to prove that angle 1 is supplementary to angle 4. Now, if you haven't already, I encourage you to pause the video here and see if you can fill in all of the different reasons that go along with the given statements in the proof. So you may want to go ahead and try that now before I go through them here in the video. Okay, so here's the picture that we're starting with. Remember, that picture is part of our given information. And you may notice that in this picture, which I've redrawn from the picture at the top of your notes, you may notice that I haven't put in all of the angles. In fact, I've only put in these three angles, angles 1 and 2 and 4. And the reason I've done that is because those are the angles that I'm going to be using to prove the theorem. So I kind of wanted to focus in on just those angles. Okay, so statement number 1 in our proof. K is parallel to L with transversal T. That is part of my given information. Statement number 2, I've got angle 1 and angle 2 are linear pair angles. And here are angle 1 and angle 2, and I can see in my picture that they are linear pair angles. That information is given to me in my picture. Line number 3 says angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. Well, how do I know angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary? I know they're supplementary because they are linear pair angles, and that's the definition of linear pair angles. Remember, the definition of linear pair angles says is angles that are adjacent and supplementary. So that's how I know angles 1 and 2 are supplementary. Step number 4, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees. Well, how do I know if I add angles 1 and 2 together, I get 180 degrees? Because since they are supplementary, that's the definition of supplementary angles. Definition of supplementary angles, two angles that add together to give you 180 degrees. Now, step number 5. Here I'm done. In these three statements, I was looking at angles 1 and 2. Now I'm going to look at angles 2 and 4. All right, so first I was looking at these two angles. Now I'm going to look at angles 2 and 4. All right? And the first thing I've got about angles 2 and 4 says angle 2 and angle 4 are corresponding angles. And I can see, again, from my picture, angle 2 and angle 4, those are corresponding angles. So I'm going to call that given information. And again, it's given to me in the picture. So now I know angles 2 and 4 are corresponding angles. My next step, step 6, says angle 2 is congruent to angle 4. Well, how do I know angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent? I know they're congruent because they're corresponding angles, and I have a corresponding angles postulate that says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then corresponding angles are congruent. So I can use that postulate as a reason in my proof. That's how I know these two angles are congruent. Now finally, in step number 7, I'm going to take what I came up with in step number 4, this equation that I came up with in step number 4, and I'm going to substitute a value into this equation. My equation in step 4 says measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 is 180 degrees. Well, since angle 2 and angle 4 are congruent, I can substitute angle 4 for angle 2 right here in my equation. That makes this new equation, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. And since I got that by substituting a value for angle 2, I'm using the substitution property of equality. Now finally, I have this statement here, this equation here, measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 4 equals 180 degrees. Now I can say in my last step, angle 1 is supplementary to angle 4. And how do I know angle 1 is supplementary to angle 4? Well, because they add together to give me 180 degrees, and that's the definition of supplementary angles. So you can see in our proof we started with our given information that two parallel lines cut by a transversal, and we finished by showing that angle 1 and angle 4, two same side interior angles, were supplementary. So we have proven now the same side interior angles theorem, and we can now use this theorem to prove other theorems. Now on the back of your notes you have the same proof in flow proof format, and it's using the same 8 steps. I want you to fill in on the flow proof. I want you to fill in these reasons that go with each one of these 8 steps, and we'll take a look at the flow proof tomorrow in class.